Hello, doctor.
Hello, how are you?
Okay. Uh, yes. Okay.
How may I call you?
Mrs. Johnson.
Mrs. Johnson. How can I help you?
Okay. Right. I'm here for my son Joshua.
Yes.
He's had diarrhea and vomiting, and yeah, he's very bad. Is in a very bad shape. So I'm really worried about him.
I see.
He wants to drink water, but he's not able to keep it down. So, yeah, yeah, I'm really worried.
I see.
I think he's getting dehydrated.
I see. Um, how long have you seen these symptoms?
Oh, it's been, I think, yeah, yesterday, the day before yesterday, it's nearly 1.5 day.
I see. And you mentioned that he had vomiting too.
Yes, vomiting stopped at first, but then it started again, and yeah. Uh, his vomit is very bad, and anything he drinks, and it was a little bit greenish as well.
I see. I see. So, do you know if he had any other problems previously? Any similar problems previously?
No, not similar problems. No.
I see. Is he in contact with other children?
um Not usually. It just goes to nursery,
I see.
and yes,
Okay.
but as just half a day. I take him 9 o'clock in the morning and comes back home at 12.
I see. So it is possible that it's infection of his bowel with a virus because you're not mentioning symptoms that are related to a more serious problem. I think he should receive some fluid. We can give him some fluid, and he could be under observation for a couple of hours at the hospital. And after that, if he feels good and or investigations are normal, he can go back home. But then we will tell you about the warning signs that if you see them, you can come back to us immediately. Like for example, if you see that he becomes dehydrated, you see signs of that, like his heart rate goes up, or if you feel that his pulses are getting very weak, or if he cannot keep anything down farther. So, do you have any other concerns? Then do you agree with the plan?
But he doesn't keep anything down. How could you give him some fluid?
So we can try some fluids that are specialized for people with for children with diarrhea. We can check if he can tolerate them. If he cannot tolerate them, we can use other methods to rehydrate him.
What do you mean by other methods, doctor?
We can give him some in form of serums. We can inject like through his veins. We
Oh
can
my
give him
God.
some.
No, no, that is that's
But I don't think that it's likely. Most likely
uh,
he will respond to.
does he need to stay in hospital?
He has to stay here for a couple of hours at least, so we can evaluate him after and see how does he respond to the treatment.
Do you think he is dehydrated now?
Yes, we think that he's because you mentioned that he could not keep anything down for a day and a half, so it's very likely that he's dehydrated.
Right. So I think, doctor, you need to hospitalize him because um, I think he is not well.
I understand that you would be very concerned for your child, as everyone else would be, and it could be very distressing. But this is a very common finding in children of this age. It's most likely a viral infection, and we will evaluate him again. If he doesn't get better, we will not release him. So if we
Okay.
don't see any improvement, we will keep him at the hospital. Do
But
you agree with the plan?
is it dangerous, doctor?
Not at this, not, it's very unlikely that it's anything serious.
Okay. And can you just say it with looking at him?
Say that again, please.
Can you just say that by looking at him? Can you say he's not well? Like he's well.
From yes, from his clinical course and the things that you mentioned to me, that the detailed history that you gave me, we are almost certain what's the situation. And furthermore, we will do more investigations if he doesn't get better after treatment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 4-year-old boy with diarrhea and vomiting. Okay. Right. Yeah, how does that feel?
It was good.
Okay. So what score would you give yourself?
I would get 8.
Okay. So so the structure was okay. You asked questions, made some assessment. In rapport, was it good, you think?
I said that I understand that you're concerned, like any other parents would be concerned too. I didn't want to emphasize more on it because they were nervous already. So I
Okay.
don't know.
Right. Okay. So in information gathering, was there anything you would do differently?
I I could have asked more things like if they had fever or not. I think I missed the fever,
Okay.
and I remembered it later, but I already passed that part of the questioning. Mm, like if he has any siblings, if they have similar symptoms, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And right. Um, okay. So how about the ice was okay? She was worried about dehydration. What did she expect?
She expected for us to hospitalize
Hmm.
her child.
And but then she was saying that, oh, injections, horrible. Oh, I'm really
Yeah.
afraid of that. So do you think you could ask? So what do you think we would do if we hospitalize him? I mean, what would you expect to get?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't ask that.
Uh, right. So basically, to in exploring the expectations. So in the eyes, you could explore what she expects. Okay, what the expectation is exactly. Okay. And then, I mean, in information giving, did you chunk and check? Did you actually stop and pause and say, is that okay in different um, different sections when you were explaining?
I said like after the treatment, but I don't think after the diagnosis I didn't do that.
Mm. Yeah, I felt that you didn't actually chunk and check because it took a long time. You said all the options, and then after that, I was trying to say I wanted to interrupt you and say, well, he doesn't keep anything down.
I see.
But you talked about 1 minute explaining the plan, okay? And we don't want that. We want to chunk it. We want to say, okay, I think it's a viral infection. It's caused by virus. Is that okay? All right, okay. So we agreed on the diagnosis. Okay. Now, and it is usually an infection you catch from other children. Is that all right? All right, okay. Now, what can we do? What we do, we usually try to be non-invasive and try to encourage the child to drink and see if he can keep things down. Is that all right? Okay. And then if that doesn't work, then obviously we need to use some other methods or to give him some medicines to stop the vomiting. Okay. Um, right. Uh, so basically, yeah, step by step. If you instead of saying all the story together, we chunk it, especially with over anxious people. Um, Okay. So that was the cue there in the expectation, hospitalization. Okay. Then you could actually say, okay, what do you think would happen in hospitalization? Uh, in the RAPO, you didn't introduce yourself.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you just said, okay, what's your name? How may I call you? And then you actually asked the mother's name, but the child's name.
Oh, I see.
Uh, so mm, it's important that you call the child by name. Okay, we shouldn't say the patient or your son or something like that. Well,
I
you need
see.
to say Joshua. Okay. Uh, okay. So
Should
at the
I ask
beginning.
mother's name too, or not just the patient, just the
Uh,
child's name?
Yeah, the mother's name as well, or
Okay.
just say the family name of the child, and sometimes it is important to establish if that is the real mom. Okay,
I
in
see.
any case, now it's not relevant to this exam, but then you say, okay, so is this your son? And she says yes. Okay, and and ask them, so you are you Mrs. Smith? Yes, I'm Mrs. Smith. Okay, or sometimes they say no, Miss Smith. So it means I'm a single mom. Okay,
I see.
uh, right. So you introduce yourself. My name is um, Dr. anything, Dr. Amir or whatever. And then, what's your name, please? Okay. Instead of saying, how may I call you, or what may I call you, or how may I address you, just easily say, well, so what's your name, please? And then it says, my name is Miss Johnson or Miss Johnson. And okay, what's your son's name, please? And but this is Joshua. Okay. So hospitalization, we need to explore info giving, chunking and checking. I think would be helpful. Now, do you think in information gathering you could ask some more questions?
Yeah, yeah. I could have asked if they had fever, like if they have a sibling with a similar situation.
Okay. What else?
Um, I could have asked about their diet. Oh, okay. How many times?
How many times vomited? How many times passed the stool? How many times had a wet nappy or passed urine? Okay. Uh, yeah, is that important to see? Um, how much? So we need to make an assessment of how dehydrated they are. So, and I ask you, could you just say, with looking at him, that he's dehydrated or not dehydrated, or how much dehydrated?
Oh, I see.
Okay, and then and yes, the answer is yes. With what you said, that he has passed urine this morning, he has passed twice, and the fact that he's playful, he's not floppy or sleepy or drowsy, and then yes, I would say that he's not seriously ill. Okay. Mm, okay. Uh, right. Good. Yeah, I think it's nothing serious. You're quite fluent, um, but I think that the pattern we had now, I think chunking and checking, you need to pay more attention to when you're explaining, not to go on for too long and go step by step. At first, establish the diagnosis. This is a diagnosis, then check, then explain the causes or the reasons for this diagnosis, then check, and then go on about the management plan.
I see.
Uh, okay. And yeah, I mean, in other exams, they usually check if you have mentioned any red flags. So basically, in your assessment, you need to ask the red flags too, but not in OET, basically. Um, yeah, so you need to say, okay, um, basically, what is the vomiting like, and has he had any stiffness in the neck? Can he turn his head? And then basically any high temperature, and has he passed urine? Okay, good. Right.